Two young boys that were found stabbed to death more than half an hour after police responded to a domestic disturbance in the Bronx in New York Saturday had been concealed in a running bathtub under piles of clothes. The young boys, identified as 3-year-old Deshaun Fleming and 11-month-old Octavius Canada, were found in a bathtub with multiple stab wounds to the neck and torso inside of a homeless shelter at 246 Echo Place in Mount Hope by their father at just before 8 p.m. At 7:21 p.m, police and paramedics responded to a 911 call that was most likely triggered by a carbon monoxide alarm on a third-floor apartment, the authorities said. Police found the boy's mother, 22-year-old Damone Fleming, naked and acting irrationally in the apartment, which was filled with noxious gas after she was lighting things on fire in the kitchen, the authorities said. Officials turned off the water to the running bathtub, which was overflowing and flooding the building, and took Damone to the St. Barnabas Hospital for evaluation. They did not notice the slain children were concealed under the pile of clothes in the tub, the police said. There wasn't anything obvious to suggest there were dead kids in there. There was no blood, the authorities said. Before she left for hospital, a family friend told police that the woman's children were with their father. Columbus, Canada, who was on the 4th floor of the building when police were first called, made the gruesome discovery about 35 minutes later, and his desperate calls for help prompted neighbours to call 911 a second time at 7:57 p.m, the authorities said. Damone is considered a person of interest in the horrific double murder, the police said. Charges had not been filed against her as of Sunday morning. The father of the children had been cooperative with investigators, telling them he had left the shelter housing on Friday after an argument with Damone and slept in his car that night. He said he was first alerted to the initial 911 call when a friend told him that the mother of his children was being taken from the apartment in an ambulance. Neighbour Shannon Holyfield saw the boy's father screaming and covering the two naked boys who were covered in blood. She described the scene as horrific and heartbreaking. He was screaming hysterically, Shannon said. He was screaming, "Help me." And I came and opened my door and I see him coming down the hall with the two boys in his arms. They were dead. There was blood everywhere. He covered them, she continued. They're babies. They didn't deserve that. Shannon said that the parents of the slain babies had been fighting earlier in the day. A man who lives on the 4th floor of the complex said he helped the panicked father pull the kids out of the tub when he found them, and noted that first responders and shelter staff initially walked past the stabbed children. I tried to give the little baby some air, but it was too much, the neighbour said. It's just sad, he said. I told the father to put him on the bed, the oldest one. I tried giving CPR to give him air, but it wasn't working. Further life-saving efforts on the young victims were unsuccessful. The medical examiner was set to determine their cause of death, the authorities said. 62-year-old Carlin Denio allegedly killed, dismembered, and disemboweled his wife Connie Denio on the day they were set to host a Thanksgiving dinner at their home in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Carlin's brother Darren Denio, who's from out of town, arrived at the residence shortly after noon, but it was locked and appeared empty. Darren called his sister Tammy Pacheco, who lived nearby, to tell her he got no answer at the door. He picked Tammy up, and after they returned, they were able to get into the home through the garage after removing a door hinge. It was relatively dark inside, and when they entered the main bedroom, they found Carlin laying in the bed gazing, with Connie nearby on the floor deceased. They backed out of the property, and at around 1:30 p.m, Tammy called the police. When officers arrived, they discovered Connie's body had been partially dismembered and disemboweled. There was blood just inside the door from the garage, but there was no signs that anything had been taken or tampered with. Carlin, who suffers from dementia, was arrested at the scene for murder. He was transported to a local hospital to treat lacerations on his leg and neck. A Facebook post paying tribute to Connie said she was young, vibrant and fearless. This is how I will always remember my Aunt Connie, not afraid to climb a tree in a dress. Neighbour Rich Cordova said he's stunned. He stated that he lived near the family for 20 years, and this is something he didn't expect. He said that the Denio couple were nice and always said hello. The investigation into the matter continues.